Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 tips that you need to know before moving to Cape Coral. And we're also going to talk about where to find the best deals right after this. So you're thinking of moving to Cape Coral. Here are the 5 things that you need to know before moving here. Tip number 1, you need to consider what your intended use for the property is. 1, are you going to use it as a full-time resident? 2, are you going to use it as a part-time resident? Or 3, are you going to use it as a vacation rental? That choice has a significant impact on things like location, price, and amenities. As an example, if you're going to use the property as a vacation rental, location is more important because renters really care about proximity and convenience. They also care about amenities, and all those things can cost you more money. The great thing about owning a property full-time, in other words, what we consider full-time here is more than 6 months. You qualify for what's called a homestead exemption, which is when you get up to a $50,000 write-off on the taxable value of the property. And as a vacation rental, if you decide to go that route, you can spend more money on a property in a lot of scenarios because you're going to get vacation rental income to offset any of your investment costs. Tip number 2, you need to decide before moving to Cape Coral whether you want a waterfront lot or non-waterfront lot. That choice right there definitely affects the location of your home and also the price of the home. A lot of people don't realize is that Cape Coral has over 400 miles of navigable canals that you can operate boats on. It's more than anywhere else in the world, more than Venice, Italy. So this gives you lots of advantages if you want to buy a waterfront home, because this is one of the cheaper places in the world that you can buy a waterfront home still to this day, even though it is getting way more expensive. So let's talk about one of the disadvantages to waterfront lot. If you are on a strict budget and you can't pay that much for a home, then a waterfront lot may not be for you, but that's okay because you can still enjoy amenities by going to boat ramps and things like that. If you are going to be on a waterfront lot, there are other things to consider which we'll talk about in the future tips. Tip number 3 is you need to consider what the elevation of the property that you want to buy is. And why is the elevation important? Well, one of the most popular questions or most popular concerns that we get from home buyers here is whether the property that they're considering or they're about to buy is in a flood zone. And our answer is always, almost always, yes, because almost all of Florida is a flood zone, right? And so what that doesn't mean is that your insurance will be automatically astronomical. You see, because of new building codes and things here in Florida, a property has to be built up to a certain elevation, and the reason that is to reduce the flood risk of the property, which in turn should reduce the cost of possible flood insurance. What we've seen with the last hurricane, Hurricane Ian, is that homes that were built to the newer codes withstood the hurricane a lot better than the old homes. So a lot of the destruction that we went through was because homes were older and they weren't built on higher elevations. A lot of them were built to really old codes and had next to no elevation. And one other point that I just want to make so that you all know is that just because you're close to the water doesn't mean that you have a higher chance of flooding. In fact, a lot of the newer homes that are being built close to the water are being built with really high elevations to get their property up and out of the flood zone and reduce that risk greatly of the house flooding. That leads us to tip number 4. Which is how wind resistant is the property that you're about to buy. We just referenced building codes. Well, building codes now also require a home being built to have hurricane shutters or hurricane windows. I definitely prefer hurricane windows, and the reason why is there's a lot less hassle when a hurricane's coming to have hurricane windows. That way you don't have to worry about hiring somebody to put up shutters if you don't know how to do it yourself. Secondarily, this tip is more about how resistant is your property, well, to a hurricane or to a disaster here. Well, there's certain tools that we can use to determine that. One is a 4-point inspection. They check the electrical panel, they check the roof, and they check water, heater, and HVAC systems. It's just the main components of the home for the insurance companies. And the next thing is they can do is what's called a wind mitigation inspection, and that's all for just what it says, wind mitigation. So they'll check things like, does it have hurricane windows? Does it have what's called hurricane straps? Does it have other things that would help, like hurricane front doors and things like that, that will mitigate the risk to an insurance company and to the homeowner if and when a hurricane hits, that there won't be that much damage to the property. One valuable resource that we use to determine how hurricane prone a home is we go to what's called LEPA, LEEPA.org, which is a city website or county website, I should say. And on there you can go on and see when a homeowner pulled permits to do certain renovations or updates to the property. So we will check the age of a roof, we'll check for other things like hurricane protections before writing an offer, so we know what the homeowner is getting into. Tip number 5. One thing that you need to consider before moving to Cape Coral is what we call the UEP, which stands for Utilities Expansion Project. And what that is a lot of Cape Coral has already the developments or the connections to public water and sewer system. But there's also a significant portion of Cape Coral that is not connected. These folks have homes that are on septic and well systems. Well, because of the Utility Expansion Project, Cape Coral requires residents in certain zones to get connected as the construction goes out that way. And they will be forced to connect to the city utilities, which means there's an added cost to that. So what you will see a lot of times when you're looking at properties that aren't yet on city water and city sewer is you'll see a difference in price. There'll be a waterfront property, let's say up in the Northwest Cape, that is on a well and septic, and you compare that to a home that's in, say, the Southeast Cape, and the home in Southeast Cape is more expensive, even though the home up in Northwest Cape seems a little bit more fancy, newer, things like that. A lot of the times, that's because the utilities haven't been put in that property yet. So you need to consider before buying here where that property is located and whether you're going to be responsible for those costs when you purchase a property. Typically, when you buy a property that is not yet connected to the city water and city sewer, those future costs go on to the person that's buying the property. Now, here's the great thing about it. Not only can you get a good deal by buying a property that's not quite been connected yet to those city water and city sewer, but when it does come in, they take the cost of the connection and they split that up over your tax bill over a 20-year period. So you don't have to come out of pocket all at one time. And over that course of that time, your property, theoretically, if it performs like it has in the past here in Florida, your values will keep climbing significantly and the cost of the utilities won't be an issue for you. Lastly, we get asked a lot, where is the best place to search for homes in Cape Coral, Florida? Well, there's lots of websites out there. You've heard of some of the most popular ones, but unfortunately, some of the most popular real estate websites out there only get 65% of the data correct. In other words, a lot of the homes you will see on those websites aren't even listed anymore, and that ends up being causing a lot of frustration for our home buyers. So the best site to search for homes is our website, which is searchfloridagolfhomes.com. It's a site that we pay a lot of money for because it's the best technology that's out there in the world for real estate searches. It's searchfloridagolfhomes.com. You go on there and that website updates with the latest listings every 5 minutes. So if you want to beat out other buyers and you want to find out properties as soon as they get listed, which is really important in a hot market, go to searchfloridagolfhomes.com, enter your information there. We won't hound you, won't hassle you until you're ready. We might ask you some questions, but when you're ready, we'll be ready. Go on there and put in your criteria and you can find homes that are on the market currently right now. Also, one of the things that we do is we search for off-market deals, like properties coming soon, and we have wholesalers send us deals all the time, properties that they negotiate really good deals on, properties that need to get sold, and we love to pass those deals on to our home buyers, people searching on our website. So we also put those on there as well. If you'd like to find out what your home is worth, just go click on the link in the description, enter in some information, and we will send you an automated valuation and give you an idea what your property is worth. Hopefully you found this video useful and valuable, and if you did, please hit that like, subscribe button, and we'd be just ecstatic if you would share it with somebody that would also find it valuable. I'm Doug Lugers. Thanks for watching.